These are some of the sine and cos expansion formulas. As I said, there is no need to memorize this if you're not a math student. For example, if I ask you what is sine of 150, you might go ahead and do sine of 90 plus 60 and then use these formulas. You will get the answer in that way, but we will look at an easier method. Now let's look at the sine of some angles which is greater than 90 degrees. These will be mirror images of 60 degrees. So let's look at sine 120 using the formula. We can do it as sine A plus B sine 90 plus 30, and with the formula expansion we have it as root 3 by 2. Similarly, we will look at sine 300, which is sine 360 minus 60 sine A minus B. With the expansion we have it as minus root 3 by 2. It requires a little bit of calculation, and sign of a negative number is negative. So sine of minus 60 will be minus root 3 by 2. We'll see how to plot this on the graph and get it very quickly without any difficulty. Let's look at the sine of 60 degree and mirror images of 60 degrees in other quadrants. If you look at this, 60 degree falls in the first quadrant and the sign is simple. It is the value on the y-axis. It is the side opposite to the angle which falls on the y-axis. We look only at the value of y-axis for the sine of an angle. We look at the value on the x-axis for cos of an angle. So here we have the value as root 3, the hypotenuse as 2 as we have seen in the triangles before. The sine is root 3 by 2 for 60 degrees. Now let's look at the mirror image of 60 degrees in the second quadrant, and this angle is 120 degrees. Here value of y coordinate is again positive root 3, hypotenuse is 2, sine is root 3 by 2. It's a mirror image of 60 around the y-axis. Now let's look at the angle that is diagonally opposite to 60 degrees in the third quadrant, and this is 240 degrees. It's a mirror image of 120 around the x-axis. Now we come to the negative value of y, which is minus root 3 by 2, and hence the sign is minus root 3 by 2. Let's look at an angle in the fourth quadrant, which is a mirror image of sine 60 degrees around the x-axis, and this angle is 300 degrees. Again, the y value opposite this angle is minus root 3 because it's negative by 2. The hypotenuse, the sign is minus root 3 by 2. Now that we have found the sine of 4 different angles in a little less than 2 minutes without using any formulas, look at how simple it is using the graph, and we don't make mistakes also with calculations. Now we look at sine of negative angle. This was not covered in my last video, hence I'm covering it here. This is also very simple. You follow the same concept, but a negative angle is measured anti-clockwise from the positive x-axis. So here we have angle minus 60 degrees. As you see, it is the same as plus 300 minus root 3 by 2. Your sign is again minus root 3 by 2. It follows the formula sine of minus 60 is minus sine 60. But now let's go into a quadrant where sine is positive. Let's go to the second quadrant. I know you might not come across these problems. When you solve physics, you will not get sine of a negative angle which is so high. But this is to understand the concepts. Now, what is this angle? 60 plus 60, 120 plus 60, 180 plus 60, 240. This angle is minus 240 degrees. What do you see? The sign here is positive. It is not minus root 3 by 2. It is plus root 3 by 2. Now, does the formula fit in here? Sine of minus theta is minus sine theta. Is the formula wrong? No, the formula is not wrong. But there is a condition on that formula. It applies for angles that are less than 90 degrees. Only then it holds true. If you go beyond 90 degrees, you must use a graph to understand properly, and you will never go wrong with the graph. You will not make calculation mistakes, and you don't need to memorize anything. So please follow graph to find sine and cos tan of angles which are greater than 90 or negative.